What's good, Bulls fans and Horniacs, and welcome back to a special emergency episode to the Horns Over Hoops podcast. I am your host for the evening, Sal-Bass. Scott Berman and Dan Gracie have the night on, but I'm not alone on this. I'm joined once again by a good friend of mine, Q from the Let's Talk Bulls podcast. So let's welcome Q. Q, thank you for coming back. It's been a while.
No problem. Had to come back with breaking news. I gotta talk about my Bulls when things happen.
Yeah, it's awesome because the NBA season literally just ended, and we're already talking Bulls again. I love it. I love it. So, Q, how's your off season been?
It's been good. Been focusing a little bit on life and family, and hoping that Javon Carter gets traded. But just doing the small things, hoping for a change. But it's been a waiting time. It's just been trying to see if what AK said was true. Are they really ready to make changes? And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that now, but just seeing if he's ready to really make a move.
Yeah. Well, it seems like they're ready to make a move with what we're about to report. Of course, if you're a Bulls fan, you know exactly what we're talking about. So I'm not even going to beat around the bush. Let's just get into it. Today we got news that the Bulls finally pulled the trigger and made a player trade, something that hasn't been done in close to 4 years now. The Bulls have not made a trade involving a player in about 4 years. And of course, I'm talking about sending our beloved Alex Caruso to the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Josh Giddey. Now, I don't know about you, but I was scrolling Twitter all day, and it seemed like the emotions and the reactions were 50-50. Like, I like it or I don't like it. So I'm not even going to beat around the bush, Q. What do you think?
I'm going to be real. I've been thinking about it all day. When I first saw it, I thought I really was pissed off. Mostly just hearing that there was no, drafts picks included, which is crazy to even think of at this point in the NBA trade. But I'm starting to settle on it. When you look at the Bulls, you look at what they're trying to do. I was watching a few podcasts and reading a lot of articles, and it seems like the Bulls might be preparing for that, 2025 draft and hoping that they can really start to tank to keep that San Antonio pick. So it seems like this might be a move where the Bulls are saying it's time for us to make changes.
Yep.
Now, there's a lot more things that have to happen for that to be true. So
yes.
I think my true feeling on this trade is going to have to wait until they either do more moves or they make this the only move they do this offseason. So that's going to kind of change how I feel, really.
Yeah. What Bulls fans need to understand is this isn't a trade that's the move we needed. This is like to get the snowball rolling down the mountain. Like, this is the first of many offseason moves potentially. If Acme if they're saying what they're saying is true, that they want to make change, that this is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. So once again, this was just Giddey for Caruso straight up, as we know right now, as of 10:30 tonight when we're filming this. They have not released any details of if there was any second round picks or garbage players thrown in, Javon Carter. But which, like you said, is rare in the NBA because you're almost always guaranteed to get somewhat of the Thunder hoarding their first round picks that they got 37 of them. I mean,
that's the annoying part. Like, if this was a normal team, I would be like, okay, maybe you're just trying to get something. But how do you trade with the Thunder?
Yeah,
no picks.
Exactly.
Like, they have picks they could give you and not even care. It won't even affect them, and they still give you anything. Like, that's a whole new level of incompetence that I don't even want to think about at this point.
Yeah. I mean, up till this point, and actually until this point, incompetence has been the only C word that hasn't been consistent. Well, I guess right off the bat, I'm just going to ask, who do you think won this trade?
Well, obviously, everyone who knows anything about basketball knows that OKC won this trade.
Yes, absolutely.
I think Caruso and anybody who's a Bulls fan, or if there's any, OKC fans looking this over, because they'll probably see the Caruso tag in it. I think OKC got a great player, right? Shade's been stepping it up. He's shown that he's a superstar in this league. And if we're being honest, he's not a slouch on defense either, right? Like, we talk a lot about his offense, but he's not a slouch on defense. So you add Caruso, you add that mentality, that winning nature, that veteran presence to OKC. and it's just going to take him to new heights. Like, look what he did for the Bulls,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our team is terrible. Like, we are trash. And he made us look like at least we could make the playoffs. So you take him and put him on a team like OKC where he's coaching these young players, he's getting them active. Plus, if he can shoot the way he shot this year, you're looking at improved defense, improved shooting for an already dangerous team. It's clearly OKC who won this. But hopefully it seems like the Bulls weren't trying to win. It seems like they were trying to make a statement. And if that's the case, then you got to love that they do something. The only thing I would hate about this is if the Bulls made the trade thinking they won.
Right. Yep. That's a great mindset to have. Yeah. In my opinion, usually the team that I don't want to say is closer to winning a championship, but the contending team genuinely wins trades like this. And like you said, Caruso provides that not just on the court, but off the court presence that I feel like OKC may have lacked. Of course, OKC, one of the top seeds in the West, with their young experience, they got close. I mean, they handled some teams pretty well. So definitely a defensive guru like an Alex Caruso would definitely be what they need to put them over the top. Now, as far as us, what did we get? I mean, we got an offensive player, a young player. I mean, I never said I didn't like Josh Giddey. I respected Josh Giddey when he was on the Thunder. I mean, we'll just have to see what he does when he's here.
Yeah.
So what letter grade would you give this trade?
I give it a C.
C? Okay.
I was watching and like congratulations on getting Hayes on here the other episode. Like,
thank you. Shout out Hayes
on that. But I was watching him and Pat on Locked On Bulls earlier. And I made a super chat there, and I'll reiterate it here. What I think the Bulls might be doing, and it might just be me, right? This is me saying something that might completely not be true. I know not everybody will agree with it. But it seems like the Bulls are kind of trying to do a younger version of what they had before, right? You get a super tall point guard who can pass and has great IQ for the ball, which is kind of what you had in Lonzo, right? Mind you, you're not getting the shooting or the defense you got with Lonzo, but you're getting that tall point guard that makes outlet passes, can rebound and take the ball off the rebound, drive it down the court, plays fast pace. You're getting Kobe to be your two guard who can shoot, right? He's playing that Zach LaVine role where he can score from anywhere. He can give you 30 points a game. He can bring energy. And then from what I'm seeing, I feel like DeMar's probably going to not be here next year. If he is not here, then you're looking at probably them moving P. Will to the 3. Now you have a mid-range shooter in P. Will who's going to play a little bit more aggressively. Maybe not get everything you got in DeMar, but have that mid-range game. So it seems like they're kind of just making a poor man's team of what worked before, which can be scary if you think about it that way.
Yep.
So I think I've given it a C. It's going to depend on the next moves on whether it grows or goes down. If they make normal moves, this is going to drop down probably to like a D or an F.
Yeah.
If they do what I want them to do, it'll probably go more towards a B to an A. But from watching a lot of his tape, seeing how he's playing, I think the big thing for the Bulls is going to be they have to get a center.
Yes, 100%. 100%. I think ever since the season ended, we all unanimously said that the one thing this team is lacking is big men, because as you know, it doesn't look like Drummond will be coming back. If he does, it'll be an absolute shocker. So it's a matter of who do we get to step up and be that big man in a team that's already lacking big men.
Yeah.
So I see ups and downs to losing Caruso. I mean, mainly downs, but to look at what we give up, I mean, you can add more if you think. I mean, we're giving up energy, we're giving up stellar defense, we're giving up that veteran on and off court presence that the Bulls needed, because there for a while it almost didn't look like they respected Billy, but they did respect Alex Caruso. Again, I'm not putting words in players' mouth, but just my perception of the team, that they looked to Caruso as more of that mentor than they did to Billy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But not all downs, or not all ups, rather. We did give up age. I mean, we traded for a 21-year-old young star. We traded for less injury problems. I mean, Josh Giddey played 80 games last season. Alex Caruso, as we know, can be can be injury prone with his style of play, which is what we love, which what makes him special, but doesn't really help us win when he's not playing. And we also traded for a little bit more offense, something that I felt like we were lacking. Anything else you think that we lost with Caruso?
I would say the biggest thing that I think we lost in this trade is Giddey struggles in the two areas that the Bulls have struggled in.
Yep.
The last few years, right? All we've talked about is we need more shooting and we need better defense. And Giddey brings no defense and not very good shooting. So it's just like, it's one of those things where I think a lot of this sits on what they're going to do next, right? But it's seeming like they're going to have to surround this team with shooters.
Yeah.
If you want Giddey to grow, and I think this is a chance for him to kind of take over, because if you think about when he first got drafted, he was OKC's star, right? This typical 6'8", tall point guard vision, that Ben Simmons, Lonzo Ball type of player, right? That Cade Cunningham type of, he can get his teammates involved. And their hopes was for him to be a star. And Shea took off, so that didn't happen. Yep. So hopefully him in a new environment, a new team, one that's going to give him the ball, right? Look at Lonzo when he came here. He said the reason he wanted to was because they wanted him to be him. Right? Yep. He's a pass first point guard who likes the fast break. This team excels in that. Giddey excels in the fast break, and he looks for his teammates. So giving him the ball, we let him play his game, I think he could have a resurgence. But it's going to come down to what they do around him. And I think this signifies, one, Lonzo is probably not very healthy.
Yep.
Or he is, and the Bulls just don't think he's going to be a part of this team. Because if you put Lonzo and Giddey together, unless they're going to do some weird thing where Giddey comes off the bench and it's like a poor man's Lonzo off the bench, I think it means Lonzo's going to be gone. Zach is gone. What do they do with DeMar?
Yeah.
And apparently now they're also looking to try to trade Vooch if someone will give them some type of deal.
Yeah.
So they're trying to change. I think this all signals that they might actually be going for Klingon in the draft.
I hope so. That was my guy, man. I followed him. You know, I don't follow many college teams, but UConn has always been that team that kind of sticks with me, like all the way from like the Kemba Walkers to the Hashim Thabits to, you know, now Klingon. I don't know why. And I love that man's game because, and this is why, Klingon is a player that knows his game. He knows what he can do. He knows what he cannot do. As you know, Vucevic has kind of solidified himself as, maybe I can shoot threes, maybe I can't shoot threes. Well, Vooch, if you're listening, let me tell you something. You can't shoot threes, dude. Just because they occasionally go in doesn't mean you can do it. I know you're shooting 29%, but that's not good, man. Take better shots.
He couldn't even hit his floater this year, which was,
I know,
even worse.
And now you get a Donovan Klingon where he doesn't need to shoot threes. He excels in that post move. He grabs you rebounds, not just defensive rebounds, but he crashes the offensive board and he provides size. You know, not everyone on this team needs to shoot threes. You know what I mean? 5 guys on the floor don't all need to shoot threes, but we do need players that excel in their environment.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
I think he'll be great for us. The issue I see is you're going to have Josh Giddey learn how to shoot a three. Because if he can come up, right now off the pick and roll, if you get Klingon, would be a great combo.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Two young players who know their roles. One is about passing. If Giddey gets a good screen, he can get to the rim. He's good at getting himself close for floaters or layups. So that's going to be great for him. If you can get a player like, Klingon to set those screens, he sets strong screens for you, gets your point guard open, you're going to have to make a decision. He's an alley-oop threat. You have Giddey, who's a layup threat. You can pass it out to Kobe. The issue here is going to be the rest of the team in the shooting. Is Ayo going to be able to shoot consistently? Because you get Giddey and you get Klingon. That's 2 people who can't shoot. You can't now surround them with Ayo, who can't shoot that much.
Right.
And hope that this team is going to do anything, right? Javonte Green is not going to be a 45% shooter.
No.
Right? We need a shooter, and I'm just going to put it out there because I know a lot of Bulls fans are going to talk about it when it does happen. It's not going to. I just want people to understand this. I know people are going to talk about we're going to get Clay if he's let go of the Warriors.
Nah,
We're not getting Clay.
no.
We don't want Clay. Let's just not start that weird, let's ask for players that we all know we are not going to get thing that we do.
Yep.
But it's going to come down to how they play. And I think if they get clean, it's going to be a really good combo for having two young players growing up together, having that type of role. Yeah, I think that's going to be my biggest thought on it.
Yeah. Now, my next question to you is, I mean, what do you think we would have to give up? Because Klingon is now projected to be obviously top 10, but in some drafts I've seen him as high as top 5.
Yeah.
You know, and as you know, to get one of those elusive top 5 picks, you're giving up a lot of assets. So, I mean, in your opinion, what would you have to give up to get a top 5 pick in this draft that's kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I think luckily you could probably give up a little bit less than you would have. Like if this was next year's draft, you're screwed.
100%.
So
100%.
I think DeMar gets it done. DeMar, you know, a little bit of talent, maybe DeMar and Dalen. It's one of those things where we don't really have a lot of draft picks, so you got to screw there too. So, but I think you, with the talent in this draft, how people are talking about it, you might be able to get, you know, a DeMar trade somewhere where they are willing to trade for him to have that veteran presence, just like the Thunder did, right? Have a veteran presence on the team, a win now type of player. But I think it's something where you're gonna have to give up multiple players. You're gonna have to give up probably DeMar or Zach or Vooch, and then a young player. Hopefully, it's somebody who's not going to, you know, go and become the greatest player ever on another team.
Yeah. Danny Gafford,
right? But hopefully, for me, as long as we keep Kobe, you got to keep Kobe, right? It's Kobe's team now. Even if Giddey's here, it's Kobe's team. He's become the star of the team now. I don't see them doing anything with Patrick, which is just, I love Pat, but I'm to a point now where I would kind of rather trade him and move on. But I already know he's gonna go. He's gonna do something big somewhere. So I think it's probably gonna be like a Dalen Terry. It's gonna be a, you know, Julian Phillips. It's gonna be somebody who has a lot of upside, and they think that, hey, he just doesn't fit us right now.
Right. Right.
But I think it's possible. I think the Bulls could pull it off. I think this is one of the only drafts the Bulls could probably pull it off.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully you get that luck. But there's a lot of centers in this draft who I think are going to be something where they would play good with this team if you're talking rebuild. Or maybe they just go and we tank.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's always an option. You know, I've seen a lot of like mock what ifs, but you know, here's the problem that the Bulls are in, and we have the 11th pick. We're trying to get up 6 spots. Now, in order for us to either get up those spots, we either A, call all 10 teams above us and say who you drafting, A, trust that they would tell us exactly who they're drafting, and B, stay true to their word that that's who they're drafting. But the problem also lies in the fact that once a team knows who you're looking for, the price just went up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you want Klingon? I was going to draft him. What are you going to give me? Now your prices go up. You're not just trading a Zach LaVine in a second rounder. Now it's, I want Zach LaVine, I want Phillips, and I want a future pick in the first. And you got to be the one to decide, well, is this player what you need, or is he what you need right now? You know what I mean? So hopefully we can get a team that is got a reasonable price and we don't give up too much from, because despite our main guys, I'm going to say DeMar, Vooch, you know, I really liked our bench. Like I love Julian Phillips games. I love Sanogo's game when he came up. I mean, I was a big fan of his. Dalen Terry started come around, man. I loved watching me some Dalen Terry. The man just got to learn how to hit that outside shot, man. He was trash.
It's so like, it's just in the offseason, he's so good at shooting the three. It doesn't translate. And it's sad, because if he could just hit that shot, he's a whole different type of player. He's clearly been showing workout videos, which at this point, when the Bulls drop workout videos, it just annoys me.
Yeah,
because for some reason we keep seeing things that they don't actually do during the game. Like every time we see a Dalen Terry or a Patrick Williams summer tape, I'm like, you're not going to do any of that in a game.
Right.
Like it's great to watch you do it now, but you don't do this when the lights are on. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's going to be scary for them to have to put their cards on the table and hope.
Yeah.
Right. Like we might have to give up more than we want, but it comes down to how committed are they to really making this change.
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
it seemed like AK in that presser, and I might be one of the only people who thought this, but I know a lot of people might feel the same way. He seemed like he was like, I need to do something. Like,
Yep.
it's officially time for us to make a change. I know it came out that like a lot of that Alex Caruso could have been traded during the, the All-Star before the trade deadline, with a lot of the ownership kind of restricting everything.
Yeah.
And now that comes out, hopefully that makes them a little bit more open to be like, hey, we know the fire's on us now, so go do what you need to do.
Yeah.
But it's gonna come down to, we have to make something. Even like, I'm at a point now where even if we suck next year, just show me something different.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because me and my co-host, we said the same thing. It's like, we don't need to win. We know we're not going to win championships every year, but just show us some form of progress. Progress doesn't need to be we're finishing at a higher place in the division or we make the playoffs. Progress means, are we developing an identity? Last year, the Bulls thought that they could put 3 mediocre players on a team, or 3 above average aging players, and think that that's going to win them games. It's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? So just some sort of progress is all I'm asking for. I don't care if we finish 8-74 next year. You know what I mean? If we get that pick for the 2025, there's a lot of good players out there. I'm going to read you some stats about Josh Giddey. Okay. And
Yep.
based on that, I'm going to ask you, how many more games do you see us winning? So Josh Giddey, coming off of an 80 game played season, 25.1 minutes per game, shooting almost 47% from the field, averaging 12.3 points per game, shooting a below average 33% from deep, which is not ideal for a guard position. But he did grab 6.5 rebounds a game. He did dish out almost 5 assists per game, and his height comes in handy because he averaged almost a steal and a block per game at 0.6 each. So what do you think, plugging him into this current roster?
So are we talking the current roster right now with no other trades?
Right now.
-5.
We lose 5 more games. Okay, I'm glad you said that.
We lose more games. He's a great passer, but the Bulls' issue was not playmaking. Kobe did a decent job. The Bulls' issue is no one can shoot,
Mm-hmm.
and no one can play defense. And the only reason we won a lot of the games we won was because somehow Alex Caruso was able to hit 3 threes and play defense. So without that, who are we? Right? Because you got to think about it. Giddey's great, but Giddey is also kind of like Patrick Williams. He's passive sometimes. He doesn't talk a lot on the court, right? So now you're talking no Alex, which means now DeMar's probably not in the right place. Kobe's not in the right place. So now our defense is even worse. Vooch is not being called out by anybody. So now we're probably the worst defensive team in the league.
Yep. Plus, how many of those games that were close did Alex take it upon himself to guard the star player? I mean, You're losing that, at least when you played, Phoenix, when you played, that Alex is saying, I'm picking up KD. I mean, when you're playing Cleveland, Alex is saying, I'm picking up Mitchell. You're losing that with Giddey.
Plus, if you look at Kobe, some of the games we won, Kobe had the ball. He was playing great, right? He had a couple games where it was like, wow, Kobe is emerging.
Yep.
With Giddey, he doesn't have the ball in those situations.
Correct. So
it's one of those things where we're probably going to lose more games. I'm okay with that. Lose the games. Cooper flag is the thing. Lose.
Yes.
Lose as much as possible. This is the year. If the Bulls trade Zach and Vooch and DeMar, this is the year I'm like, hey, if we lose every game in the last 2 minutes, I don't even care. Just have some fun, electric plays. I want one of those teams where the Bulls keep losing. We know we're going to have a high draft pick. We know we're making changes. And maybe we're losing a majority of games, but we're seeing, Giddey throwing the ball up to Klingon for an alley-oop, and like Kobe White hitting logo threes. Like, I want the fun, the fast break, let's see some energy and have fun as a team. Even if we're losing, let's look at it and go, we're on our way. And I feel like that's what OKC had.
Yep. 100%.
Right? With Shea, when he started taking off, everyone was like, they're still not winning anything, but we can see where this team is going. And wow, guess how many draft picks we have?
Correct. Exactly. If something doesn't go our way, we have the draft picks and we have the capital to replace him. You know what I mean? We can tweak our system. I'm with you. A lot of the games that even some of the games we won, I'll say that it looks like we didn't have any energy. You know what I mean? It's like we were going with the motions. I mean, how many times did Stacey King say, like, this team is just going through the motions? They got to be more awake. You know what I mean? And I feel like just having that, if I have some sort of energy, but we're losing games, that's a fair trade-off. Obviously, I'm not saying I want to lose, but I want to see progress, like I said earlier. Like you said, that 2025 draft pick, Cooper Flag, is going to be the real deal. So it's going to be a lot of teams looking for him. Q, what does the starting lineup look for next year? What do you think it's going to be?
Giddey's going to start at point. I don't think Lonzo's going to be even close to 60%. Kobe at 2. I personally think if we keep DeMar, it's going to be DeMar. If we're not, Patrick Williams is going to be probably the small forward for me. I think we will get Klingon or a center. Most likely, if we can't get rid of Vooch, that'll be a backup center. And then we'll play Javonte Green at power forward. Because, yeah. So I think that'll be our starting 5. Unless they tear it up and completely change. I can't remember his name now that I really want to talk about it. But the center from Brooklyn.
Claxton? Not
Claxton. There
Claxton,
you go.
Yeah.
That's somebody I wish the Bulls would go after. I think even especially now with Giddey, if you compare him and Giddey, that fast break with him, Kobe running to the wing, like that's a dangerous, dangerous fast break team. But I think it's something where we're going to have our pretty similar starting lineup. You're just going to move everyone down one and then add Giddey to the start. Because that's what the Bulls do is add one thing. I also heard a joke where knowing the Bulls, knowing Billy, you're probably going to have Giddey start at power forward just because he's 6'8". I think Pat said it. Billy will probably ask him if you could pick up 20 pounds of muscle by the end of the season. So yeah, it's going to be one of those things where everyone shifts down one and they just insert him and hope that it sometimes works. Or the Bulls completely blow it up and trade everybody. And then I don't know what's going to happen at that point. Like,
I mean, the positive thing, and this is one thing I do like that's in our favor, is the draft comes before free agency. So let's say we strike out, aren't able to get Klingon, aren't able to get a player that I don't want to say that we want, but not that piece that we're looking for immediately. We just draft a position to draft a position. Hey, we have Claxton. Now we're going to have to make a position. Do we renew Vooch? I mean, do we renew DeRozan? Do we pick him up or do we go after Nick Claxton? I mean, there's a lot of avenues we can go down. So, I mean, Bulls fans, this is not a one-trick pony. This is not a one trade fixes it all. Okay, there's going to be a lot of roster moves coming our way. At least we hope. Like we said earlier, we hope. And your starting 5. I mean, that's pretty much what I had. I mean, I had Kobe coming back at the 1. I had Josh Giddey at the 2. I had Debo coming back at the 3, Pat at the 4, and Vooch at the 5 with Dosunmu coming off and providing that spark with the 6 man. So yeah, very similar lineups. And then the rest is just, filler players.
Yeah. You got to get rid of DeMar though.
Yeah.
I love DeMar, but like if this is a team where you're trying to get, because like the draft pick for the 2025 for the Spurs is top 10 protected. DeMar makes you a not top 10 pick team.
Correct.
So if you're serious about rebuilding, you're not winning a title with DeMar.
No.
Let him go somewhere he has a chance of winning a title.
Yeah.
And let this team burn a little bit so you can build it back up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The Bulls right now are trying to live in a house on fire. They're like, it's fine. Just we'll put it out. It'll reignite tomorrow. But hey, we still have a house.
It's like
let
that
it burn down.
That meme where the dog's sitting at the table and everything's on fire, and they're like, "This is fine. Everything's fine. We're fine."
That is the Bulls. Except the worst part is the Bulls are like, it's not fine, but we're still gonna sit in it. It's all terrible, but hey, we're here. It's my home.
Yeah, as beloved as DeMar is, I mean, you and me are big fans of DeMar. Bulls fans and just people in general need to understand that the man is 35 years old. He had a couple of great seasons, but the man wants to be paid as he should be paid. The problem herein lies is he wants a multi-year deal, some of which is going to make this man millions upon millions, tens of millions of dollars. The man could possibly make $40 million, and he's going to be what, into his 30s, end of his 30s by the time he retires. I mean, no one is going to pay a 38-year-old player $40 million. I mean, that's absurd. Unless he takes a front-loaded contract. I mean, there's a lot of stigmas, but do you really want to invest in an aging player like that? I would say no.
Not as the Bulls. I
No.
think there's teams who would. I think you talk about a Grizzlies team.
Yeah.
They might drop money on DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like who knows? Like I could see, like they're not going to now because they got Caruso, but I could see the Thunder giving DeMar DeRozan money, right? Like we have money to spare. We have a whole bunch of draft picks. If things don't work out, hey. Yeah. But a team like the Bulls, where we're trying to lose games, we're in the middle of the pack. We're not going to win a title regardless. Like there's no changes the Bulls are doing right now that makes them a title contender. Yeah. Unless magically Kevin Durant asks for a trade to be on the Bulls. Right? Like the Bulls' options right now are like Westbrook.
Yes.
Right? Paul George isn't coming here. Like we have no option of winning a title. So paying DeMar $40 million to say that we paid him $40 million to continue to be some mediocre middle of the pack team, lose draft picks, not get good draft picks. It's just, it's pointless.
No. Yeah. You know what you're doing? This is exactly what you're doing. You're repeating the same mistake you made for Zach LaVine, just for an older player. Yep. Because then 2 years from now, when DeRozan is showing signs of his age, now you can't trade him because nobody is going to trade for an aging veteran with a $40 million purse, unless he's got an expiring contract. That's another story, but no one's going to trade for that because, like you said, no one builds their team around a 35-year-old, if you want to call him an all-star superstar. I love Debo. If he was cheap, I'd say bring him back. But at this stage of our mediocrity, I'd say it's time to make some progress and get a real star.
Even if he's cheap, let him go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, even
just let him go.
Yeah, because like you said, PG's not coming here. Donovan Mitchell's not coming here. Keep Trae Young the hell away from this team. Now, I have heard some connections to Clint Capella coming here. How do you like that?
Yeah. I think it would be cool. I personally don't see how it would work with Giddey. I think Giddey unlocks a lot of things as far as like how we would make moves going for it now. The type of center you want, the type of power forward you're going to want, the type of players around him you're going to want, right? This team, if you have a point guard like this who's known for rebounding and passing, you have to get more shooters. Mm-hmm. Some of the best assists I've seen from Giddey are to Dort, one-hand passes across the court. He makes those plays. The issue is he can do that, but the Bulls can't hit the shot. Mm-hmm. So, like, we're putting a man who can make the passes, but can't have his teammates score. And I think to take ourselves to the WNBA, I think that's a big thing you're seeing with Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. She's a great player. As much as Twitter is in a crazy war right now about Caitlin and, Angel Reese and the whole WNBA and all the craziness, a lot of the times I see her make passes, it's her teammates missing those shots.
Yes.
And that's coming back to talk about how she's not the best player for people. When she can get more assists than she's getting right now, it's just her team's not that good. That's Giddey on the Bulls. Correct. Hey, I got you, Io. Wide open in the corner. Brick.
Yep.
Javon Carter, pump fake, no shot. Like, this is our team. Like, even now, we were talking about getting Devin Carter in the draft.
Yeah.
Another guard who can't shoot.
Yep.
Like, I don't understand the Bulls and these, like, project. Like, you could even say Giddey might be a project, too. It's constant project after project after project. Like, this person has a lot of potential. Great. I love potential. but I just want one player that doesn't have potential and is like, oh, this player's already shown what they can do.
Correct.
That's what I want on my team at least once. Like, even if you think about it, Zach LaVine was a potential trade.
Yeah.
Lonzo was a potential signing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's all we do is like, this person has potential to be great. Let's hope.
Yeah. It's roll of the dice at that point. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with players like that. Because, I mean, even Lonzo, if it wasn't for injuries, I mean, he may have, had a few good seasons here. I mean, who knows? If he would have had a couple good seasons, we could what if all we want. But I truly believe if Lonzo stayed healthy, that trio, I mean, that four, I mean, I'll throw Vooch in there too. Why not? We would have had a solid team. We were a solid team. But the problem is, like you said, potential doesn't always translate to result. You know what I mean? And I think that's where we're standing. And again, why are we looking at guards in the draft? To circle back to that, we have big men problem, and we're looking at a guard
because the Bulls have a curse with point guards.
Yes, we do.
Like,
we were just talking about that the other day. Like
if I was Giddey, I wouldn't want to come here.
No,
like all your point guards blow their knees out. Yeah, like all your point guards blow their knees out. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Like, that's if I'm Kobe White, I'm going up in the front office right now and be like, am I point guard or not? Like, what are you doing? You got Lonzo one day, you got Giddey another day. Where am I playing? Because I need to study a playbook. And is it going to be a shooting guard playbook, or am I going to a point guard playbook? You know what I mean?
He's just happy he's not the point. He's like, hey, my knees are safe.
Yeah, he's playing. No, he's playing.
Yeah, he's point. I don't have to do that no more. Great, I could just score. I don't have to deal with none of it no more. This is wonderful.
Oh, you just want me to park at the logo and hit threes? Perfect. I can do that for you. So before we close, I got a list of players here that have either been tied to moves and try to put your best fit where that you think they'll go. All right, we're going to start with something easy. Lonzo Ball. What do you think happens to him this year?
I think the Bulls keep him for a little bit because I don't see anyone trading for Lonzo right now. So he's going to have to come back and show some sign of improvement. So I think he'll come off the bench. He'll barely play. And hopefully in the minutes, if he can show that he can still shoot and he still has his IQ and his knee looks okay, there's a chance we trade him for not a lot, but a team will take on his contract for the chances, kind of like we did with Zach LaVine.
Yep.
For the chance that he can recover and be great.
Yep.
But it's going to come down to how he plays. So I don't think we see him traded till about the trade deadline.
Yeah. Yeah, and he is carrying around that $20 million expiring contract, which we've been saying it all cast long, that dangle that in front of the right team, you might find yourself a good trade, or at the very least, you unload some money. I mean, that and that's something that Chicago's hurting for, some money right now. So moving on to P. Will, does he come back or does he go? Because if you remember, OKC was actually interested in him.
I think it's scary. I think P. Will comes back. I think the Bulls give him a little bit too much money.
Yeah.
I was hearing a podcast talking about Charlotte's probably going to offer him like some crazy, $15-20 million a year contract because they have it. And the Bulls are going to have to make the decision on, do we give up on him or do we keep him? And now that we know that, Jerry is controlling everything, he's probably looking at it as, look at what happened to marketing. Look at what happened to Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
Look what happened to Gafford. All the people we give up resurge and become stars, or at least great role players. So they're probably like, we can't take the risk.
Yep.
So I see the Bulls giving him a little bit too much money and us having to find a way to work around it. But he does stay in my book.
I think you're right too. I was throwing around those numbers too. I'm like, some young team who doesn't have a lot on their payroll because all their players have basically in their rookie deals or new deals, they will throw 4-year, $100 million contract at them, and we will re-sign them. If you want my opinion, I say we, of course, try to find a way to trade for Klingon, but we try to keep that 11th pick and maybe go after Cody Williams. I mean, I really was a big fan of Cody Williams. He plays similar play style to a Patrick Williams, but at this point, man, I think it's time to part ways with Patrick. He will be back. I still do love me some Pat, but man, I don't know. I'm ready for a change.
I want Pat back. What I want from Pat is I want the Bulls to give him one, and this is me hoping we get rid of DeMar and let him go somewhere where he could actually be a person, like have a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope if the Bulls let him go, give Pat 1 year at the 3.
Yep.
Let him play the position he's actually supposed to be at, and
Yes.
let's see what happens. Because
Yes.
look what happened with Derek Jones Jr.
Yes. Great example.
He's like, oh, I got to play my position and
Yep.
got to show what I can do at my position and not play power forward all the time
Yeah.
against 7-foot people. Like
Yeah.
you put Patrick Williams at I think he's 6'9", right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You put him 6'9" at the 3. He's going against a 6'7", 6'6" player. He can body that player.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, the Bulls are like, no, we need you to body up a 6'11" player and get to the rim. Like, I think they have to give him 1 year because if you put Pat, say we sign him to $20 million and we put him at the 3, and by the trade deadline, he shows that he's a good player. Maybe he's not what we want. I think he can prove himself enough to get a good trade.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think without a DeMar, because like we said, I don't know if it was so much he was intimidated by DeMar on the court or if he just felt that with DeMar and Zach on the court, he was the third string on the fiddle. You know what I mean? But maybe with, Zach off the team, DeMar off the team, maybe he can step up into that. I don't want to say leadership, but he can take the reins of that first unit because as we know, Pat Williams coming off the bench with that second unit, he's shown himself to be a good defender. And he's shown himself to play with confidence. I mean, we saw him going up for those, those power dunks, those alley-oops. He's got it. He's just got to put it into play. You know what I mean? So I hope he can get it together this year. Now for the money man, where do you see Zach LaVine going?
I think I really think the Kings would be a good spot for him.
Okay.
I think him and Fox are a dynamic duo. It lets Zach not be the number one. Because like as much as Zach is great, Fox is the number one there.
Yep.
He's going to be on a team that's young. They're looking to play fast, and they need someone to be that secondary guard. I think he'll fit in really well with them. I don't know what the Bulls would get back from that. I haven't even really looked into that trade and what would happen, but I think that'd be a good team. If Clay leaves the Warriors, and it's looking like he could, I think the Warriors would be a good fit for him.
Yeah.
It keeps them. He's not the good defensive player that Clay is, but it gives Steph that other shooter, right? And we know that Zach LaVine is great off the catch and shoot.
Oh yeah,
if you got to guard Steph Curry, Zach's wide open.
Yeah,
Plus, we've said a lot of times. I've said this on countless podcasts, countless episodes on my channel. Which, if you haven't checked out, check it out. Zach needs to be played like a Thompson type of player. Double screens, have him running around the court. If he goes to the Warriors, they're running him like Curry. You're running, you're going off screens. We're getting you open. That's something the Bulls couldn't do. So I would love to see him in that offense in a position where he's not number one and see how he can shine.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? The Warriors do have Kuminga that I know it'll be a pretty price, but that wouldn't be they got some players I wouldn't mind in return. More of the story. I did see the Kings did just re-sign Malik Monk because that rule change that immediately after the finals is over, as soon as the NBA season is completely over, you can negotiate with your own free agents. And actually, real quick, what do you think of that rule?
I think it's a good role. I think it's nice to know that, like, because if you're talking to your own team, I don't see why we're waiting.
Correct.
Like, this person's on your roster. If you're going to re-sign them, what's the point of waiting, right? And it's something where that player still can say, no, I'm going to wait to free agency.
Correct. Yeah.
So, like, if they really don't want to be there, great. If you know they want to be there, then why are we waiting? If it's like, so we're just waiting so they can do the same thing they're doing right now. Like, they already know they're coming back. Like, if you look at like a Jason Tatum, he's not leaving Boston.
No.
Why would they not be able to just after the championship be like, hey, we're playing great. You want to just stay? We can just give you the money now, get it over with, have more time to plan. I think it gives the teams more time to make ideas, make decisions, make plans. They know where they're sitting, right? You're not just in that cloud of what ifs. So it does help the league make moves. It helps people kind of get a clearer picture.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely think it's a good thing. And plus, like I said, the players can always say no.
Correct. My thing was I like the rule, but it's one of those like it's already happening. Like, do you really think that GMs and coaches are not talking to their own free agents
Yeah.
already? It's like they just made it official that you can do that. Like, come on, like, you know, they're talking about it the day after their season
Yeah.
ends. I mean, a rule just makes it official.
Yeah.
As
Quick
far as
question for you,
yeah, what do you got?
because that has me thinking. I've been thinking about this for a while.
Okay.
How would you feel if the NBA implemented a franchise tag like the NFL?
Believe it or not, this is not the first time I've heard this. We're talking a whole new dynamic, man. We're
Yeah.
talking if you, because what is it, top five, average top five paid
Yeah.
in NFL? Man, we're talking it eliminates a lot of big contracts, more players move. Bird rights would be out the window then, I would imagine. I kind of want to see it. Like, I
I'm
kind of
like,
want to see it.
I can only imagine, like, imagine Steph being like, no, I want out. And they'll be like, no, you're here, franchise tagged. You're stuck.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I could see that being good. That's
Yeah.
a solid idea.
Imagine that if LeBron James owned the choice. Imagine
Yeah.
if Cleveland was like, no.
Plus, I mean, imagine it helps both ways. Because let's say you're a small forward that's up and coming, you know what I mean, and it just so happens to be that the best players and the highest paid players in the league are the small forward. Now you get franchised. You're making the average of their salary. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, I could see it being negatively if you're already an established player taking less money. But man, I like that. I would like to see it because it's paid its dividends in the NFL. I mean, it's pissed off some players. It's made players happy. I mean, it has caused some movement. Man, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm posting that on Twitter tomorrow. I'm going to quote you, but I'm going to post that on Twitter tomorrow.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, like how that would affect so much, like just the overall, because just it would stop super teams, and I think it would really help like small market teams.
Yeah.
Like teams like
100%.
Indiana being able to like, no, you can't leave us for LA.
Yeah. Oh man. Talk about getting your mind blown in one seven word sentence right there. Oh, that's great. And because it actually helps the thing I was going to say, because it would eliminate the problem we're having with Zach LaVine, because you wouldn't be making $40 million.
100%.
As far as his movement, I did see something today. I don't know if you saw it. The only trade I did see that I like, because for whatever reason, everybody knows that Zach LaVine, what we get from is not going to be what he's worth at all. At this point,
Not
it's
even
a
close.
it's a failed experiment. It's a salary dump. It's a thanks but no thanks. But I did see, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but I did see a trade revolving Zach LaVine to Utah for John Collins and Jordan Clarkson straight up. What do you think of that?
I don't think it would happen.
Right. Yeah.
I'm one of the people I feel like I'm on the outcast here, like kind of like you, but I don't know your full take, but I kind of would like Jordan Clarkson on this team.
I love Jordan Clarkson, man. Oh
Like,
man.
like the man can score, and I think the Bulls' issue is needing a player who can score off the ball as well. I think you add him to like, especially if you're talking Giddey now, you add him to a Giddey Kobe lineup. That's a scary lineup.
That's a dangerous
right?
lineup right there.
So I definitely think that, honestly, I could care less about the John Collins thing.
Yeah.
I'm at a point now where with the Bulls, I'm like, stop getting people who are under 7 feet.
Yeah.
If you get a power forward in the center, I need a 7-footer.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
like if you see anything that's 6,
Yeah. Next.
I gotta swipe left. It's Tinder. It's like the 6 foot thing for guys on Tinder. If it's under 6 feet, need you to go. So same thing with the Bulls. If it's under 7 feet, gotta swipe you to the other side. Like, I need a tall center. I'm tired of us with these undersized players trying to go up against a Jokic, trying to go up against an Embiid.
Yeah.
Now you have, Holmgren playing great, right?
Yep.
Wemby's showing he's going to be a talent.
Oh yeah.
You're talking, God, ED's going to be drafted, which but like, there's so many tall centers. You can't keep putting 6'5" players
Yeah,
on your
Terry
team.
Taylor.
If he like, you got this, yeah, go out rebound these players.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's got to be a change.
Could you imagine that? Like you're Terry Taylor playing center, like playing the San Antonio Spurs, and Billy's like,
Yeah.
all right, you're gonna go out there and guard Wemby. It's like,
Yeah, just stop him. We believe in you.
yeah, just try your best, man. You know,
Get
we
those
already
rebounds.
suck.
Box
We
them
already
out.
suck. Don't worry about it. They're gonna be
And
mad at me, not you.
Wemby's like, I don't even have to jump now. I just reach up, get all the like Terry Taylor starting power forward. Oh, Wemby has 47 rebounds this game. Wow, the most rebounds ever in the history of any game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a mess. I'm with you, man. I would love to see an actual established center.
Yeah.
I don't like these. I mean, not that I don't like it, just the combo of the power forward center. It doesn't work. Like for us, for anything, you know, I don't mind seeing like 6'10", you know, power forward, 6'11" power forward. That's your money maker right there. But center, I like 7'1", 7'2". I mean, if you're 7'3" and above, you're just a super like on Tinder. That's not a slut. That's super like.
First date, let's do it. Just like,
yeah. I mean, because I did mention, you know, although it's not a bad idea, or I mean, although it's not a great idea, this is the draft where if you draft Zach Edey and you fail, you failed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you draft Zach Edey and the man's a stud, you know what I mean? You stole something in the draft. You know what I mean? But it's a matter of, do you want to take that gamble?
I don't see him as a stud. Like, I truly believe Brook Lopez can outrun him. And that's saying so much.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
He would be a great post defender, but with the way the league's going, like Wemby is taking him off the dribble.
Yeah.
Holmgren off the dribble. Embiid off the dribble. Jokic can take him off the dribble, which is also saying something that Jokic could probably just be like, yeah, oh, this is free cheese right here. I'm just about to just step out, we'll be good, right? And then you do put him against smaller centers, right? You put him up against a John Collins. He's just stuck. Like, he's not guarding anyone at the perimeter. You ever switch him onto a guard? Imagine switching him onto Luka.
Oh, geez. Run circles around him. It's not even close.
The Bulls suck at pick and roll defense.
Yeah.
So every team we play against, he's getting switched on the Luka. He's getting switched on the Shea. He's getting switched on the LeBron. Like, he's going to have to play the fastest guards in the league. And he can barely move his feet in college.
Yeah. He did just get I don't know if you've seen it, those commercials for, what is he, McDonald's commercials now?
Yeah. That makes sense. Because his legs are broken like their ice cream machine. Like, this is like,
yeah. That also can apply to any Chicago Bulls point guard. just the ice cream machine of the Chicago Bulls is the point guard position.
Oh no.
All right. Well, before we close, next domino to fall, because we said this is a snowball. Next domino to fall. Who do you see leaving the team next?
I think if we have another trade, it's going to be DeMar before Zach.
Okay. I like that.
I think Zach is something where the Bulls are going to just try to push out and see as much as they can get out of him, and it's just not going to work. I think DeMar is somebody who could get you a higher draft pick or get you another pick in this draft. So I see him probably being the move you make before you do a draft trade with Zach, unless there's a team stupid enough to give us some draft picks for Zach LaVine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because DeMar essentially has a blank check for a salary. You know what I mean? And say, hey, what do you want? You know what I mean? That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, we pretty much came to terms that DeMar DeRozan has played his last game as a Chicago Bull. I mean, it's sad to say because we've enjoyed his time, but Bulls fans, it's time. It's time we say goodbye.
It's like that bad relationship. You got to let him go. If you love him, let him go be great.
Yeah. And you know what? Hopefully he leaves and goes to a team and we see him in the finals next year. That's all we can pray for. I mean, I wish the very best for DeMar. I wish he could have done it with us, but we also didn't really put him in a position where that was possible. I'm just going to say it, you know. So
what if he goes to the Mavs?
Man.
What if it's just Luka, Kyrie, and DeMar?
It'll just be the team of the former Bulls winning a championship. You got DJ, you got Danny Gafford, DeMar, you know, Luka and whatever, Derek Lively. Oh man, come on. I mean, the only thing we need is for them to like, I don't know, what's another Bulls scrub that we can throw on that team, and like, I don't know, Otto Porter if he didn't retire. Javon Carter, there you go. We trade,
Please,
Debo, Javon Carter to the
please.
Mavericks, and they're an 82-0.
I'm almost at a point. I'm almost at a point. Is if we get rid of Javon Carter, I would take a Kobe White trade. Just get him off the team.
Oh yeah.
Trade if we trade Kobe, but Javon goes. Hey,
exactly.
we got Javon Carter off the team, and we're gonna replace him with Devin Carter because the Bulls.
We like having Carters on the team. Yeah, Wendell Carter.
It's a curse. They're all bad too. That's Michael Carter Williams. They're all
Michael Carter Williams.
All the Carters are just not good.
Yeah, it's funny because I said this year, because we've all been watching WNBA more, Kennedy Carter is still the best Carter in Chicago basketball.
Yes, she is, and the announcers need to stop trying to compare her to the Kennedy Expressway. It is literally the slowest expressway we have, and you're talking about her speed and calling it the Kennedy Expressway, and they keep saying it every game. Like, they're really trying to get that to stick. But yeah, no, I'm happy that I get to actually talk about WNBA too now. Like, I've officially become a fan of the WNBA this year, and Angel Reese has got me obsessed with the team. The Bulls are trash. The Sky are playing better than that, and I have some type of hope sometimes. So
yep. I mean, we joke about it all the time. Like, all right, we're scrapping the horns over hoops. We're going to be like the Sky's the Limit podcast or something like that.
That's a really good name for a podcast.
Unfortunately, I checked and they already took it. Like, somebody already took that. Shout out Sky's the Limit podcast for taking that one.
It sucks when that happens.
Yeah. Did you see, speaking of which, did you see Angel's game today? She had 16 points.
I was at
rebounds.
work. I was at work catching up on another show. Plus, it's harder because they never actually play the Sky's games on anything in the world.
Oh, I know.
So I have to stream them. Not so legally.
It's called archival consumption.
Yeah. I borrow
there you go.
Of the show as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, they're playing mediocre too, but
hey, at least they have some form of direction.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're a fun team. Like, they're a team where they do what I want the Bulls to do. They lose, but it's fun.
Yep.
And that's what I want. I don't care about losing if there's progress. Like, that's all I want. It's just a good team.
Yeah.
All we have is Caleb. Caleb is the savior.
Yeah. Yeah, we got your guy. Did you get your jersey yet?
No, that's not going to happen for a little bit. I don't know if you saw it. There was a guy who tweeted he bought a jersey from Fanatics.
Oh, he did?
And he bought it the day Caleb got drafted.
Really?
And he got a notice saying he's not getting it till September.
Oh. I mean, just in time for the season, I guess.
Yeah, but still, like, that's a backup.
Yeah. That's on back order. Jeez.
Yeah.
They can't stitch that quick enough.
I figured I would wait. I was like, I'll just wait. And if anything, the price might go down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. Get in a Dunze jersey while you wait.
That's probably going to take a little bit too now.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, you're right. That might be up there.
Give me a Josh Giddey jersey.
There you go. That might be getting here quicker than you think. What number do you think he'll wear before we cut out?
Anything but 16.
You know what's funny is because I saw this on Twitter too. It was hilarious. It said that when Josh Giddey is picking his numbers, the Bulls should say that you can only pick anything 18 and above. It's just like any number above 18 is the only number you can pick. Poor Josh Giddey, man.
Or if he's a troll, he should pick the number 16.
Yeah, or go for it.
Just to say screw everyone.
Go for it.
Like,
and then go
Could
drop
you
40.
imagine if he picked 16 and became like one of the best point guards in Bulls history?
Yeah, we would have been like, do you know what he did when he No, I don't remember that. He never did that. Yeah. He never was in a club.
Nah. What?
What are you talking about? Well, Q, thank you for stopping by. This has been an absolutely
Anytime.
phenomenal episode. Bulls fans, go follow Q. Let's talk Bulls. Why don't you tell them where to find you? I know they've heard you before because
Yeah.
that was one of our better episodes.
You can find me at Let's Talk Bulls or Let's Talk Bulls _ on social media. Or if you just like the NBA, you can also find me at the Got Next podcast, which is going to be more of an NBA type of channel. It won't be as many posts as my Bulls channel. It's more of just NBA news. And last, starting probably in the next few weeks, if you like me just to not talk about only sports and you just want somebody who keeps it real and says what they want to say, I have a new podcast that is coming out, and it'll just be me talking about whatever I want to say, and it's called Viewpoints.
Ooh, I like that name.
Yeah,
That's a
and
solid name.
Yeah, and it's just a podcast where you say what you mean and you just back out what you say with points and arguments. So,
I like
hey,
it.
it'll be a podcast where you can come in, and if you want to argue with me, feel free. But I will be cursing a lot more on that podcast.
Yeah, we like that. Damn, I feel like me and you think the same way though. So our arguments will be like, yeah, Josh Giddey's bad. I agree with you. Like I feel like this is bad. I agree with you.
Yeah. I'm hoping though. I'm hoping it becomes like one of those things where like the whole point of that one's going to be me just saying what I want. The first video will be about the whole Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark drama
rivalry. Yes.
That's been going on. And it will be my unsolicited thoughts with no filter. And whether you like it or not, you're going to hear everything I really think. So
the way sports should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. If you like rant videos, you're going to like this
channel. Yeah. Well, Q, thank you for stopping by. Bulls fans, Hornets, please go follow him. He puts out amazing content. He's been an absolute pleasure to have on our show. We loved him so much we brought him back a second time and hopefully third and some more. What do you say?
I'm always happy to come on as long as you don't tell me you want Javon Carter on the team.
It was a funny story. I hate to segue, but like, not Javon, but equally to Javon, we've actually been trying to start a thing. In fact, the video comes out probably the same day as this one. We're trying to get Denzel on the show. In fact, we posted a little short where it's like, hey, Denzel, like, come on the show or at least tell me to go scratch. I mean, I don't care, so I'm trying to get everyone to send it to him so he could at least be like, all right, fine, I'll come on, or no, I'm not worth your time.
I would love to talk to Denzel Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love Denzel. I love Denzel. He took really dumb shots.
Yeah.
But he thought he was great. And he made me happy. And even though we sucked, he made me happy to watch games.
I'll tell you, when we drafted him, I was so happy. I was excited for Denzel. Even his first couple seasons, I was excited for Denzel. I liked him so much. Scott got me a jersey of Denzel. Now he's killing it in both the rap industry and in I think it's Australia.
Yep.
I think he plays. So Denzel, if you're listening, come on the show, man. Don't make me ask you again. All right, Q, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you as always. Go follow him on his socials. Follow him everywhere. And from all of us here at the Horns Over Hoops studio, welcome to Chicago, Josh Giddey. But we encourage our Horniacs to see red, go Bulls, and go Chicago Sky. Good night, everybody.